It was a heated day on Capitol Hill, and the tension in the room was electric as Representative Jim Jordan, known for his aggressive style, prepared to take on Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett during a highly anticipated hearing. Cameras rolled, and viewers across the nation tuned in, expecting fireworks. Jim Jordan, never one to shy away from confrontation, started off with a sharp tone, firing pointed questions at Crockett. His goal was clear: to rattle her, undermine her points, and dominate the exchange as he had done many times before. But Jasmine Crockett, calm and composed, sat back with the quiet confidence, ready to handle whatever came her way. Jordan's line of questioning began with sharp accusations, suggesting that Crockett's positions were inconsistent and that her recent comments in committee hearings were, in his words, reckless and irresponsible. His voice grew louder with each point, his tone cutting, as he demanded that she answer immediately. The room grew tense, with members shifting uncomfortably in their seats. But Jasmine Crockett wasn't fazed. She listened carefully, letting him finish, her eyes locked on him with a steady, unwavering gaze that made it clear she was not intimidated. As soon as Jordan paused for breath, Crockett leaned forward slightly and began her response, her voice calm but powerful. She started by dismantling his claims one by one, citing exact dates, quotes, and evidence to back up her points. "Mr. Jordan," she said, her tone even, "if you're going to accuse me of inconsistency, at least get your facts straight." The room shifted, and the murmur rippled through the gallery. Jordan, momentarily taken aback, tried to cut in, but Crockett held her ground, not missing a beat. She continued, pointing out how Jordan's own record was full of contradictions. With each precise fact she delivered, the tension in the room flipped. Now it was Jordan on the defensive, his confident smirk beginning to fade as he shuffled his notes. Crockett's voice grew a little stronger, not louder, but with a firmness that commanded respect. "We're here to discuss real issues that impact people's lives," she said, "not to play political theater for the cameras." Her words hit hard, and the room seemed to hold its breath. Jordan tried to regain control, throwing out another tough question, hoping to catch her off guard. But Crockett was ready. She answered smoothly, her responses layered with nuance and facts. Each time Jordan raised his voice, she responded with grace and precision, her calm demeanor making his aggression seem out of place. Members of the committee exchanged glances, some nodding quietly as Crockett's points landed one after another. Even the audience in the gallery seemed captivated, hanging on her every word. Crockett's brilliance was on full display as she shifted the focus to the bigger picture. She talked about the real consequences of policy decisions, weaving in stories from her constituents to highlight why the issues at hand mattered. Her ability to connect the personal with the political was powerful, and even those who had come into the hearing skeptical found themselves impressed. Jordan, meanwhile, was visibly rattled, his usual swagger replaced with growing frustration as he struggled to regain control of the narrative. At one point, Jordan accused Crockett of avoiding his questions, trying to corner her into a yes or no answer. Crockett didn't fall for the trap. Instead, she smiled slightly and said, "With all due respect, Mr. Jordan, complex issues deserve complex answers. I'm here to have a real conversation, not to be boxed into your sound bites." The room erupted in quiet applause, with several members visibly impressed by her poise. Jordan, caught off guard, was left momentarily speechless. Sensing his grip slipping, Jordan's tone became sharper, almost desperate. He repeated his earlier accusations, but this time they landed with less impact. Crockett, maintaining her calm, replied, "You can repeat the same thing as many times as you like, but it doesn't make it true." Her confidence seemed unshakable, and with each passing moment, the power dynamic shifted more and more in her favor. The audience, both in the room and watching from home, could feel Ida a true masterclass in composure under pressure. Jordan tried to pivot, bringing up unrelated issues to throw her off balance, but Crockett was ready for that too. "Let's stay focused on the matter at hand," she said firmly, redirecting the conversation back to the topic they were supposed to be debating. It was clear now that no matter how hard Jordan pushed, Crockett wasn't going to be derailed. Her focus and discipline were impressive, and even her critics had to acknowledge that she was holding her ground with remarkable strength. As the exchange continued, Crockett's responses became more pointed. She highlighted Jordan's own record, subtly exposing inconsistencies without resorting to personal attacks. Her strategy was clear: stay factual, stay calm, and let the truth speak for itself. Jordan, visibly flustered, struggled to maintain his usual dominance. His voice wavered slightly, his frustration showing, as Crockett continued to dismantle his arguments piece by piece. Members of the committee began to lean in, clearly intrigued by how the hearing was unfolding. Some whispered quietly to each other, while others simply watched, impressed by Crockett's command of the situation. Even seasoned political analysts later remarked that it was one of the sharpest performances they'd seen in a long time. Crockett wasn't just holding her own, she was setting the tone for the entire hearing, turning what was supposed to be a grilling into a powerful statement of her own strength and knowledge. As the hearing neared its end, Jordan's frustration boiled over. He raised his voice again, accusing Crockett of playing politics. Crockett, without missing a beat, leaned in and said calmly, "Mr. Jordan, the only person playing politics here today is you. I'm here to fight for the people who elected me. Maybe it's time we all remembered why we're in these seats." Her words hung in the air, cutting through the noise with crystal clarity. The room was dead silent, everyone taking in the moment. Jordan, now visibly rattled, fumbled with his papers, trying to get the last word. But Crockett's composure had already won the day. She sat back, her posture relaxed but her eyes sharp, watching as Jordan struggled to regain his footing. It was a stunning reversal of what had begun as an attempt to destroy her reputation had turned into a showcase of her brilliance and resilience. When the hearing finally wrapped, applause broke out in the room, a rare moment of unity in an often divided Congress. Crockett stood, gathering her papers with quiet grace, while Jordan, still flustered, avoided eye contact as he packed up his own notes. The contrast was stark, and it didn't go unnoticed by anyone present. Even reporters outside the chamber were quick to comment on what they'd just witnessed, with headlines soon buzzing about Crockett's powerful performance. In the hours that followed, clips of the exchange went viral, flooding social media and news outlets. Hashtags like Crockett Clapback and Jordan versus Crockett began trending as people shared their favorite moments from the hearing. Support poured in from all sides, with many praising Crockett for her poise, intelligence, and grace under pressure. The video clips were replayed on loop across major news networks, turning the hearing into a national conversation. Political analysts weighed in, calling it a turning point for Crockett's career. She demonstrated today that she's not just a fighter, she's a thinker, a leader, one commentator said. Meanwhile, Jordan faced criticism for his aggressive tactics, with some questioning whether his usual style was finally starting to backfire. The moment had shifted the political landscape in unexpected ways, and both lawmakers knew the impact would be felt for a long time. In the days that followed, Crockett continued to speak out, emphasizing that her focus remained on serving her constituents and addressing real issues. She brushed off the media frenzy, saying simply, "I'm here to do my job." But behind the scenes, her team knew that this moment had elevated her to a new level of national recognition. She had shown the country that she was not someone to underestimate. Jordan, for his part, downplayed the incident, telling reporters that it was just another day in Congress. But those who had watched the hearing knew better. The image of him scrambling for control while Crockett calmly dismantled his points was seared into the public's memory. It was a moment of reckoning, not just for him, but for anyone who underestimated the power of preparation, intelligence, and grace under fire. As time passed, the hearing became a defining moment in Crockett's career. She gained new supporters, not just from her own party, but from across the political spectrum, people who admired her strength and clarity. The moment was taught in political communication classes, analyzed by experts, and remembered as a classic example of how to handle high-pressure situations with dignity and skill. In the end, what started as an attempt to tear her down became the very thing that lifted her up. Jasmine Crockett had shown the world what true leadership looks like: calm, focused, and unshakably strong. And as the dust settled, one thing was clear: Congress, and the nation, had just witnessed the rise of a formidable force in American politics.